All right, welcome back, everybody. Welcome to the Modern Athlete Podcast. Tonight, I'm super pumped to have Max Adler. Max has been one of my athletes for a long time. He's got a really unique story, but I think a lot of people will get a lot out of his story and kind of his background and his playing career and what he's chasing now. So I'll have Max kind of just introduce himself, explain who he is and his playing background, what he's doing now, and we'll go from there. So, Max, really appreciate you coming on tonight.
No, thanks for having me. Super excited to be here. Obviously, always love catching up with you, Coach Jimmy. So,
Absolutely.
yeah, no, excited to talk. Yeah, a little introduction on myself. Originally from Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Went to play lacrosse at Bentley University, which is a small Division II school right outside of Boston. And from there, we can kind of dive more in depth. But when I was at Bentley, didn't really have a strength and conditioning coach. So got connected with Coach Jimmy through one of my friends from Florida, where we would trade in the off season. After college, I got drafted to play professional lacrosse by the Denver Outlaws. And that was in Major League Lacrosse. Then I played in the Premier Lacrosse League for the Carolina Chaos and the National Lacrosse League, which is indoor lacrosse for the Buffalo Bandits. So played way longer than I ever thought. And while I was doing that, I worked full time at ESPN in finance. So that's a kind of a brief introduction on myself.
Absolutely. And the unique part, and Max kind of touched on it. So I was at Hofstra University for 13 years, and I worked with one of Max's close buddies. And it was funny, if you want to touch on the story of how in the off season you guys would train together. And I didn't actually know you were doing my program until you reached out after college, which was pretty funny. So,
Yeah. So no, it's my best friend from Florida, Michael Diener, who played pole/LSM at Hofstra. He has a twin brother, Kyle Diener, who played was a all league, all American linebacker at Colgate. So during the off season, we'd always train together and like really push each other and get after it. And I would see the sheet he was doing, I'd see the red zone test, and I would do all of that with him. And then I would go back to school because that was during the summer. I'd go back to school and I'd be like, all right, I need a lift, and he'd be sending me pictures. I could go through my text and I have pictures of the different lifts we were doing. So that's what I did for my entire college career. And then since we didn't really have a lift, I got chosen to be one of the captains at Bentley. So then our entire team started doing Coach Jimmy's lift and
I didn't even
conditioning
know
and
that part.
everything. Which I don't know if I've ever told you that.
No, I
But
didn't know that part.
yeah, so we had the entire program doing it, and it was great because I just felt like, all right, I follow this, I'm just getting stronger. I feel like I'm ready for games. I'm conditioned to kind of head everything. And Mike would kind of just relay me what he was doing. So it worked out really well for me. But then when I started playing professionally, Mike had graduated Hofstra and the program stopped coming. So what I was doing my first, like when I was getting ready, I was just repeating the lifts that we were doing, but like I didn't really have any program and I wasn't sure, like, in college lacrosse, you're playing usually 2 games a week. So I have a different schedule. I'm working a 9 to 5 job. I'm traveling a lot, like different things were happening. So I was just like, Mike, would Coach Jimmy be interested in working with me? Like, at least, like, can I reach out to him? And he's like, yeah, I mean, he's the, head strength coach at Hofstra, so I don't think he'll really have time, but you can reach out to him. So that's kind of how we got connected.
It's pretty funny. I didn't even know about the whole team doing the program, so that's that's news to me as
Yeah,
well.
we had my senior year, we had our entire team doing it from the fall all the way through our season.
No, that's awesome. And so how many years has it been now? It's been a while.
I mean, it's been since 2018,
Wow.
so
Yeah.
almost 8 years, right?
Yeah. That's wild. So you were very humble in your introduction to yourself, but can you please go into the successes that you've had, obviously as a professional athlete? How many championships have you won?
So we've won 3 in 3 different leagues. So we won 2018 for the Denver Outlaws, 2021 in the PLL for the Chaos, and then 2023 for the Buffalo Bandits.
Incredible.
And
And yep,
and also not to Brett, but and this is more of a testament to your programming and making sure I'm ready and able. I've taken every single season I ever played in, I've always taken the first and last face off. In every single season, my team made it to the championship game. So through those years, I never wasn't playing. I never didn't take the last face off of the season.
That's awesome. And even though a lot of our audience is tactical professionals, whether it's fire, military, police, first responder, a lot of people can relate to you because being, especially after you graduated college, balancing work, life, and still training and also playing competitively, a lot of people can relate to that, especially with crazy schedules, busy jobs, things like that. You were still able to do it all. You were traveling a ton, so a lot of times we'd have to adjust the program, but the best part about you, Max, and I've worked with you now almost 8 years. I don't think you've ever taken like a week off. Like you've always continuously trained, which that's a testament to you because Max, for his job, he travels a lot. And then you added travel playing lacrosse, and you were still able to maintain at least 2 to 3 lifts in season, still doing conditioning in season. So again, there was no fluff program. It was literally just total body training, just like you're doing now. But we obviously made adjustments based on your sport and things like that to make it more sport specific. But it's a testament of just good quality, consistent training and figuring it out along the way. Max did an incredible job. He's probably lifted at the most public gyms that I've ever I've ever experienced. Max would research where he was going and then research the closest gyms, and then he would either take a picture or give me a list of equipment so we could make adjustments, which again, that's high performers. Like you're going to figure it out. Training is important to you. You know how important it is for your sport and your life. So you'll just do whatever it takes. So I think a lot of people can take notes from that because vision, work, life, like travel, things like that, you can still stay on track. It may not look like your normal gym setup that you train at when you're at home, but there's always ways to work around whatever curveballs are thrown at you. So again, Max has been one of my most dedicated athletes that I've ever worked with. And I've worked with thousands. Again, I was in college athletics for damn 13 years and then working with tactical professionals, by far one of the most disciplined, dedicated athletes I've ever worked with. Part of it is just like there was no time. The training was always a priority for you, and it still is to this day, even though you've hung up your cleats. So no, that's awesome. That's awesome. So so now you obviously win all the championships. Knock wood, you stayed healthy.
And
Yep.
wait, sorry, can I just quickly talk about
Yep.
like why trading was such a
Yeah. Please do.
priority to
Please.
me? Because like for me, and what I really liked about us working together is for me, like I had a full-time job in finance and I played professional lacrosse. I wasn't willing to negotiate on either one of those. Like I wanted to be the best that I could be in my finance job, and then I had to be the best I could be in my professional lacrosse job because I think there's only 6 professional lacrosse teams. So, and there's guys coming out of college every year and people aren't graduating. So there's such few spots that I had to be in shape. I couldn't afford to get hurt. I mean, I got my chance because someone got hurt and I kind of got lucky and got slotted in. But for me, and what really helped me was, all right, Coach Jimmy was the best at what he does programming. And it was great because if I followed his program, then it really wasn't on me if I was in shape or not. Like it was kind of it was something I don't want to say like he took the responsibility, but it was something I didn't have to worry about because I knew if I had the confidence, if I followed his program, I'd be ready to go. I'd be in the best shape possible for the season. And when I say season, I mean every single game, the first game to the last game. And then we also didn't really get an off season towards the end of my career when I was playing indoor too. So it was, I'd be like, okay, like now I'm playing another season. We don't have an off season. Make sure I don't get hurt. Make sure I'm in shape. I just got hit in the leg. I have swelling, like program around that during COVID. We're not able to use a gym. All right, give me programming for that. I have a condensed season that you have to program for. So there was a lot of really, really challenging programming aspects that especially with AI now, I see a lot of people leaning towards that. And I think it can be a tool, but it can't replace, the interactions we've had
Yeah.
and like
No.
the confidence I got going into games. Like I remember being nervous and just being like, I know I know I've done everything I possibly could. I know I have the best strength and conditioning program. And it's a team, but it's also facing off some one-on-one battle. So like I really had that training to lean on my entire.
Yeah. No, that's a great point because Yeah, you had a lot of variables to juggle throughout your career. Like you all those you just mentioned. It wasn't just a simple, hey, here's a 12-week plan, go execute and be done with it. Like constant communication is also very important because that only helps me program for you. And because if I just write a 12-week program and I don't know things that come up, you're not going to get the most out of the program. It's not going to be executed the right way. So it's a two-way street. Like communication from you telling me all the things that I needed to know so I could best program for you. So no, that's awesome. And the fact yes, you had some injuries, minor things along the way, but nothing that really kept you completely out. It was always things that we could work around, soreness, things like that from games. But yeah, it's a testament to just good, consistent training. So you don't have to get ready when you're always ready. Um, so no, that's awesome, man. And so obviously you finally hang up your cleats,
Yep.
and I know working with a lot of athletes, tactical professionals, you have this thing that you're always chasing your whole career. And then now that part of you is done. Was that tough for you from hanging up the cleats and just I've worked out for a sport my entire career. Now what am I gonna do? Like what is my purpose as far as training goes? What is my purpose as far as life goes? So I just would love to hear your thoughts on that because a lot of people deal with that.
Yeah. So I mean, more than anything in the world, like I don't have kids. I'm not married. I'm not anything like that. So like I haven't like knowing I haven't experienced certain life events, but for me, playing and competing, I love more than anything else. And like especially to not really expect like I always dreamed of playing professional sports, but it was never. I was pretty undersized. It was never a realistic goal for me. I played Division 2, and then to like actually get to do it was just like, and then like the success like my teams have had and everything like that, it always felt like very surreal and never like a real thing. So I mean, the feeling I got to playing games was something that it was the best feeling of my life. Like I love competing more than anything else. So yeah, it's been an adjustment. Like it's tough when that stops, right? And then like I remember just like every workout I ever did when I was playing, I would think of winning, like I'm doing this to win the championship. Like every sprint, every sacrifice, like everything I was doing was to win the championship. Like that's why I was doing it. That's the only reason I was doing it. And then like to not have that was weird. And it was like that's when you were like probably more like I needed that more than any other time in my career is like, all right, like what are you gonna do now? And you've kind of challenged me to like do a couple different things, whether it be the Murph, whether it be the half marathon that's coming up, of like you gotta find something and put something on the calendar, compete in. Cause I love competing and it's really important for me to be in shape and be healthy, but I don't know if that's enough on its own.
Yeah. No, I agree. Yeah, it just puts so much more skin in the game, whether you're competing in lacrosse or you're trying to run a half marathon, which you're doing this weekend. It just makes every session mean something. Not to say like training for aesthetics, there's nothing wrong with that, but a lot of people that I've worked with, that gets old after a while, like just trying to look good. So having something as simple as doesn't even have to be a big competition. Like you said, you did the Murph, like putting something on the calendar and training for something. So no, that's huge. So you've done the Murph. Now you're running your first half marathon. And just I'll let Max talk further about what his thoughts are on running. But Max played lacrosse, which is a very much explosive sprint based sport. And now he's transitioning, not to say he's going to be this ultra marathon runner, but he's challenged himself to run a half marathon. So let's just talk about that for a little bit. So what made you choose the half marathon as a goal? And yeah, I'll go from there.
Yeah, so the half marathon kind of came out of nowhere. It was, and I guess to focus more in on the lacrosse, like I was a face-off guy, so it's even more like it's not midfield. It's like even more short bursts of like really intense sprinting for 30 seconds to a minute, and then you have time to relax. So just to kind of emphasize that, way different from anything I've ever done and anything we've really ever trained for in lacrosse. So yeah, so how I signed up for, I remember we were talking, all right, let's get something on the calendar. and we do an ESPN 5K, and someone just started working for the company, and I was going around trying to get people to sign up for the 5K. And this woman who works for our company is like, "Oh, you should do the Hartford Half Marathon," which is where I live in West Hartford. She was like, "Oh yeah, we're doing it for Team Sue." I said, "What's that?" She's like, "Oh, it's my mom. She has stage 4 cancer, and probably going to be one of the last ones she can watch." So at that point, I was like, I can't really say no to that. And the big thing like that around like the fundraising and stuff they're doing is like training for a half marathons hard, and it can be really hard. Battling cancer is much tougher. So that's kind of like the big quote that you think about when you're training and when there's, tough times during training, or if you don't want to do it, and different sacrifices you make. So that's kind of where I got the idea to do a half marathon from.
Nice. And when people hear, see if they come from like a lifting background, not big runners, they, as soon as they hear half marathon, marathon, really anything more than like a mile, they're like, well, I'm going to get weak and small. I'm going to lose all my strength. We've still done 3 days a week total body training. Obviously, this week we tapered to 2 days, but the entire time you've been lifting total body, and still we're running the tier system, which is still going to be a total body 3 days a week. We're still prioritizing strength, power, and endurance. What I did on my end, I knew Max's mileage was going to be higher. So I just wasn't going to crush him with a ton of volume in the weight room, but we could still keep him strong. I know Max wouldn't want to look like just 110 pounds of with no muscle. So we wanted to still prioritize that. And he made sure that I knew that, yes, he wants to run this half marathon, but he still wants to maintain strength and still continuously train like he normally does. So how did that feel, like balancing the mileage as well as still doing the total body strength?
Yeah, I mean, it felt unbelievable, right? Like I'd never done more than a 5K before in my life. Before what, 8 weeks ago, I guess. When did I start doing this? I don't.
Yeah,
Maybe
something like
9 weeks ago.
yeah, it sounds about right. Yeah,
So, like, there's when something like that happens, and a lot of my friends who do this stuff, they get hurt right away, or at some point get hurt. I mean, knock on wood, I'm pretty much in the clear now, but injury free. And I ran up to 12 miles, so completely injury free. Haven't really had to miss any lifts. Like my strength hasn't gone down at all. I've been doing my speed stuff still, so it's felt really great, and although I wanna do as well as I can in the half marathon, yeah, if I wanted to just focus on that, I could lose a bunch of muscle, I'd be way lighter, and I could, have a better time. But for me, like, I wanted to stay athletic, like, I still wanna be able to, like, go out and play pickup sports, and most importantly, not get hurt, but also be, like, the most athletic, and kind of, like, that's always been, like, a separator for me, is, like, being able to like work really hard for an extended amount of time and being in shape and not getting hurt. So those were all like really important things. But I've also liked to like build some of that. I don't, what is it called? Aerobic, whatever, the long run, like
yep,
having
aerobic.
that base, I think is important to me, and like something that I haven't had before. So I think it just kind of unlocked a new system. And we briefly spoke about this before, but like going forward, like maybe we add some more long distance in that we haven't added, we previously haven't done. Maybe we, instead of doing a 5K, it's 5 miles every week, and we, tinker with that.
Yep. Yeah, and I've talked about it numerous times about like getting to a cruising altitude with certain things. What I mean by that is, if you need to be training conditioning at all times. You may not have to be training for a half marathon, but it's a lot easier for us to bring you from cruising altitude to getting you to run a half marathon, because you were still doing conditioning. It's not like we neglected conditioning at any point. It's just our mileage was down. It was lower, but we were still running. You were still lifting 3 days a week, still doing conditioning at least 3 days a week. So now, once you told me you were doing the half marathon, it's like, all right, well, we're doing that already. Now we're just going to do it in a safe way and progress you for the next 9 weeks or whatever we had to do it. So that's the other important thing to hammer home, is like, you can have a goal of size, strength, power, but you should not be neglecting conditioning, especially if you if your job is sedentary and you're not competing in anything and you're not moving around, like you should always be doing some form of conditioning. But then once you put something on the calendar that's more specific, then we can raise those qualities and work on speed, bring up your mileage, things like that. But you're always at this cruising altitude. So if something pops up in 12 weeks, we can rise up and peak you for whatever that thing is. So
Yeah, and that's like to your point, it was really easy to like get ready for this in terms of like it wasn't like I was going from 0 to 100. Like I was already at 70% or whatever. I was already doing stuff. It kind of reminded me for the National Lacrosse League Buffalo Bandits, we were in the off season, like very far away. I think it was like January or something. It was the peak of the off season, and all of a sudden they call and say, "Can you play this
oh yeah,
weekend?"
that's right.
And then I got thrown into a full season plus playoffs. And it's like, and we were ready. It wasn't anything crazy because I feel like we always are at least have and maintain that baseline. That being said, I also think we peak at the right time too. Of you can't be at that 100% all 24/7, 365. You
Right.
have to be able to work up and then taper down. And I always felt like I was playing my best lacrosse, doing my best work at that peak, and was progressively getting better.
Yeah. And that's a great point to make of realistically when you're training for something very specific, you can't be at that peak performance of whatever that niche is all year round. So that's a good point. Like the way I program is I take the date that you're trying to peak for and I work backwards from that. I did it in college, I do it still to this day. And then, okay, what do we have to do to be successful in said event? And then that's the building blocks I'm going to get you and progress you to. So working backwards so we know where we're going to be and we can do it safely. It's not like with the half marathon prep, you went from 5 miles a week to all of a sudden running at 12 miles on a Saturday all of a sudden. Like that's the number one way you're going to get injured is a massive increase in volume. Like that's 100% how you're going to get that. So if we do it slowly and progress you, you can hit those targets without having overuse injuries, shin splints, whatever the injuries are. So things still can happen, obviously, but having a plan and having something on the calendar is important.
Yeah, and just to your point, even though things can happen, like things have happened to me where I've like landed wrong on my knee or gotten hit in a weird way. And like, yeah, I've gotten a little banged up, but like it could have been way worse. And I think you can never prove like, you don't tear your ACL, you don't tear like a lot of it's luck and whatnot. But I also think a lot of it's training and the different, a lot of the stuff we do, there's an injury prevention component in it. So like to your point, like, yes, but I also think, there's things that happen, but they would have been way worse and could have been way worse if we weren't training properly.
Yeah. And again, I keep hammering the point home because I've seen it in college. I've seen it with you. The more consistent you can be all year round is vitally important because if something comes up and you want to train for something, well, if you've taken time off, up, I just finished my season or I just finished this event, I'm just going to completely stop training. That's where you don't have to do high level training. You just got to keep moving, like keep your body moving and being consistent is always going to win. So
Yeah, and that's the other point I want to make. Like we're talking about me always training, but it's like I'm not doing anything crazy. Like I'm
no,
doing 45 minutes uh 4 or 5 days a week, maybe. And
yeah,
if we need to stack different things, we can. Like, and I think the reason I've been able to be so consistent is because nothing's been that crazy. Like, I've never felt like, oh, there's no way I'm going to be able to get this week's lifts in. And if there has been like traveler work or something like that, we've communicated it and we're able to like stay on track and not go off the rails. So I think like a big part is like, even though we're talking about me training a lot, which I do, it's nothing that anyone could train for the
yeah,
amount of time I do. And I'm
yeah,
Ian, a lot of it's by myself. A lot of it, I don't have someone coaching me or anything like that, like in person. So I
yeah,
really think it's like, that's why I'm always like, it's pretty easy. Like everything I've done, like on the weight room side and running, like is pretty easy to do. Like it's
yeah.
no like crazy, I'm running 20 miles a day or something like that.
And even when you were playing lacrosse, because now obviously not playing lacrosse, but even when you're playing lacrosse, I still tried to keep the workouts less than an hour for the most part.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of times people think they need these grueling hour and a half long sweat sessions, sore for 3 days. All that's well and good once in a while. But for the most part, training is pretty monotonous and just executing the simple things, just like I'm sure you started doing face-off practice in college. Like there's certain things you consistently do over and over, whether it's lacrosse, whether it's lifting, it's all the simple things that still work. So if you're constantly just doing the simple things, you don't need this fluff like magic 12-week, 24-week program. Like simple is always going to win. So yeah. So no, that's a good point. Yeah, I didn't touch on how long your sessions were because we're talking about training a lot, but it's not like you're having these marathon sessions and it's
Yeah, and
tough
I'm
for
not doing
anybody
it
to
7
do.
days a week. Like, I have a
Yeah,
social life. I go to weddings, I go to
yeah,
bachelor parties, like, I do all that. So it's not like I drink alcohol, but, like, pretty
yeah,
occasionally now, but it's not
yeah,
like I don't, like, and I did it while I was playing too. So it's
yeah,
not like I'm living this life that is unattainable for a normal person.
yeah. And body fat wise, what are you sitting at roughly right now?
I don't know. I haven't taken it since I'd probably say around 10%, maybe
Yeah,
a little under now. I don't know.
yeah,
I think last time I took it, I was right around 11, where I think with the running I've been doing, I'd potentially
yeah,
be
a
under.
little
I'm
more.
actually curious. After I do the half, I'll take it again and I'll see where I'm at.
And body weight wise, just to give people an idea,
190-ish probably,
190.
and
Yeah,
I'm probably 5'9" for height.
yeah, cool. Yeah, no, that's again, it's impressive because you've been at this pretty similar weight and similar body fat percentage for pretty much since I've known you for the most part.
Yeah.
So, and that's the other part is like just diet consistency. But a lot of what's pushed on social media is like, you got to be perfect with everything. I like how you touched on, like, yeah, I'll go to weddings, I'll have some drinks, whatever. Like, you can still do those things if you're doing the right things the majority of the time. You can still enjoy yourself. You don't have to live this perfectly sterile world where everything's got to be every macro is accounted for. Like there's people out there that it works for. I'm just not that type of guy. And I don't try to push that on to people that I work with. If it works for you, absolutely send it. But for the most part, there's so many other things to worry about in life. Like I'm not going to lose sleep over every single calorie I'm putting into my body. Certain times, yes, 100%. You have to if you're training for something really specific. But be real and just execute training. Be smart with your diet, and yeah, you can get the results you want. So, um, and again, you don't train like a bodybuilder either. You train total body, train like an athlete, and you're still right around 10% body fat. And yeah, so that's the other thing. People think they need these like elaborate bodybuilding splits, like upper day, lower day, which has worked forever. It's fine. But um, it's just nice to be able to balance out those other qualities, conditioning, strength, core work, all that other stuff. So
Yeah, I mean, I think anything works, but I need it to be as efficient as possible
yeah,
because I like want to do other stuff. I work
yeah,
full time. So yeah, like if you can do anything and if you do it consistently but I need it to be as efficient as possible.
yeah,
I don't have, 4 hours to spend. I have, an hour a
yeah,
day.
yeah. No, that's a great point. Cool, Max. So I want to wrap up here with you. If there's anything else you want to touch on, and I'm going to throw you one more question, but anything else you wanted to hit home on just about yourself or training or otherwise before I throw the last question at you?
No, I just think I mean, the other thing that I think we've only met in person once. So I just
Correct.
like kind of wanted to touch on, and I know you do a lot of virtual programming and stuff, and everything we've done is virtual,
Yeah.
whether it's phone calls, whether it's FaceTimes, whether
Yeah.
it's whatever, but it's not like I just want to like hammer home, like you're not working out with me. And the other thing, I've never had a strength and conditioning coach. So I didn't know how to squat, I didn't know how to clean, I didn't know how to deadlift, I didn't know how to really do anything. So any of that I have any of form, all of that we've done over FaceTime and videos.
Yeah. The big thing that Max does for me, like if there's an exercise that is going to be more technically you have to be more technique involved, he'll send me videos of that and we can break that down because yeah, I didn't even think to touch on that. That's a great point. Yeah, we met once, I think was it during COVID or right after COVID, something like that?
It was right before COVID at Hofstra.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. So we met once, and every other time, it's always been Max sending me videos of him training in whatever gym and us adjusting. And again, Max is very diligent about it, so it's easy to coach him, but sending the videos so I can say, like, that squat doesn't look right, that clean doesn't look right, that deadlift, and we can make adjustments and talk through it. And he can still execute the program, even though I'm not one on one, face to face with him. That's been huge. So that's a really good point, Max. I didn't even think of that. So
Yeah, and then the only other thing I'd say is, like, if I didn't have a strength and conditioning coach, I there's no chance I would have had the success I had in lacrosse. There's no way I would have played for as long as I did, and there's no way I would have stayed injury free. So, like, a lot of that, like, I always say, like, the first call after every championship I won was to you to say thank you, because there's no way I would have been able to do it if it wasn't for you and our programming. And I touched on this before, but there's also the mental aspect of me having confidence in knowing I've done everything I possibly could and I have the best strength and conditioning program. I've done the lacrosse stuff. I've done what I needed to do. So that's where my confidence kind of comes from, is the preparation of everything we did. And I mean, I
yeah,
remember, like, on different bye weeks, I'd been running on the treadmill with sweat everywhere. And, like, everyone was looking at me. And I'm like, yeah, we kind of have to do things differently. And we have to train not like everyone else is training in order to get different goals that we want.
yeah. It's a really good point. Yeah, it's the consistency aspect, the relationship aspect, and not having to, like, the big thing for a lot of people is the reason why they can't get started is because there's so much on their plate. It's like, what do you choose from? Like, what workout should I do? Do I create my own workout? Do I do this? Do I do that? So the way I look at it is like, I don't want you to have to worry about anything. Let me take the wheel as far as program design. And it's just one less thing off your plate. Like, you don't have to think about it. You can just show up, look at the app, and execute. And I imagine that makes life a little bit easier for you, I would hope.
Yeah, I mean,
So,
especially when I'm playing professional lacrosse, working full time, and especially in the situations of, like, I rolled my ankle and I have 2 games this week. Do I double up on cardio? Do I not do any cardio? What do I do? Like, there's different there's a and then COVID happens where my season gets condensed into a week and we're not able to use gyms. What do I do? Like,
yeah,
those are the things that I would just have no idea on what to do if I didn't have someone experienced and that I trust. And the best thing for me, we, like, you can have whatever certifications and resume you want. I don't really care. It's more, look at the results we've had,
yeah,
and, like, how I felt going into seasons and not getting hurt and being able to play in every game. And, I think the results really spoke for themselves, at least for me. And, like, that's where my confidence kind of came from. Because, there's a lot of different strength coaches out there that are all probably saying, like, have similar systems, and there's different things you can see online that look really flashy and cool. But for me, it's like, I've only worked with you as a strength and conditioning coach, right?
yeah.
Like, there's different opportunities out there. There's different opportunities for you. So for me, it was really just like what we saw and the results we had.
No, I appreciate it, Max. And the last one, because I'm trying to interview just high performing people. So you are definitely a high performing person, whether it's career wise, obviously lacrosse wise. We talked about all those accolades. So how do you define success now that you are not an athlete? So how does success look different from previously when you're an athlete to what does success look like now for you?
Yeah. So, I mean, previously when I was an athlete, success was really, for me, it was winning the championship and doing everything I possibly could to put myself in position to do that, right? Like, a lot of things, a lot of luck, a lot of different things go into that I obviously can't control. But, I want to make sure my sleep, nutrition, just everything I was doing was contributing towards putting myself and my team in a position to win the championship. So, I mean, I guess that's how it was when I was an athlete. Now, really, not a lot's changed. Like, in my working life, like, I think being as prepared as possible, like, that's where the results come from, is like putting yourself in the best position to prepare. So whether I'm doing a presentation, Also just being the best teammate possible. That's something I've always prided myself on is how can I be the best teammate possible? Whether it's being a friend, whether it's being a coworker, whether it's in lacrosse, like how can I always be the best teammate possible? So that's something I've always prided myself on. So really that hasn't changed. And yeah, I mean, for me, like success is obviously like, what can I do? And the thing and like kind of the unfortunate thing is like for this half marathon, like I put a goal, I need to do it under 2 hours. Unfortunately, if I go over 2 hours, like goal not accomplished,
Yeah.
right? Like it sucks, but you also need to have something at stake that's not just like, oh, I tried really hard and I prepared. So like, like that's not how I'm wired. So for me, like in order to have success, you also need to have something at stake where you're going to fail and you're going to, there's things like there's consequences,
That's
right?
awesome.
So for me, that's also really important. And like putting myself in those situations where you can fail, like I like that. Like I don't want to just go run a half marathon for fun. Like I wanted to put a goal on it.
That's awesome. I think that's a great point. Yeah, because we're trying to get more people to compete. Like everybody, part of modern athlete competes in something, whether it's powerlifting, strongman, high rocks competitions, ultras, all that. And we know the benefit of putting yourself out there and just being uncomfortable. But I think you hammered home an important point. Like just doing it is not enough. Like you still have a standard, and completing it is not you reach your goal. Like completing it and sub 2 hours is completing your goal. And all right, now I can move on to the next target. So
Yeah, and it's uncomfortable, right? Like it's gonna suck. Like I've had to, switch my nutrition. I've had to, do different things, wake up early, like do things and you feel the stress and pressure. And I have stuff going on at work, and I have different like social events and life going on, and it's like not super comfortable. And it'd be easy just to be like, oh, like there's no gun to my head that I have to do anything, but like that's
yeah,
how I'm treating it. So it's gonna be really uncomfortable, but I always feel like as uncomfortable as that is, it makes it that much more fulfilling.
yeah. No, that's awesome, Max. I really appreciate it. I think that was an awesome point to hammer home at the end. I didn't even think of that. Like, yeah, competing is great, but hold yourself to a standard, have metrics to go by, to make it mean something even more. So
And it's gonna be
awesome.
on like, that's gonna be uncomfortable too. Like,
Yeah.
it's super uncomfortable. It's easy to be like, "Oh, I don't wanna do this." Like, there's plenty of games the anxiety and pressure, I'm like, I just don't like, I wish this was over. I wish I wasn't playing. I wish I could just relax. But then the payoff is that much better.
Yeah, 100%. No, that's awesome, Max. I truly appreciate you being on tonight and means a lot to me, our relationship especially. And it's always awesome catching up regardless. And it's awesome to capture this as well, because I think a lot of people will be able to relate to you on this because whether it's their playing careers, whether it's they're retiring, like what makes training mean something, what makes life mean something, you have to find that so you're not kind of trying to figure out after the fact. Like you should be looking ahead, whether you're an athlete or you're retiring, you're getting out of the military, whatever it is. I think it's important to figure that out before you hang it up. So you're not scrambling once you're done because you could go off the rails pretty quick.
For sure.
So no, that's awesome, Max. I really appreciate it, brother.
No, thank you. This was awesome.
Awesome. All right, guys. Well, follow us if you like this. Follow us on Instagram at Modern Athlete Strength, and look forward to seeing you guys next week.